Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Fantastic. This is Battlefield 1. In today's CTE update video, we're going to be covering all the new changes and additions being made to Battlefield 1, currently being trialed in the CTE. Now, these include, but are not limited to, new level 10 weapons or new level 10 weapon variants for, of course, the Hellriegel, the Selbstlader 1906, the Huet Automatic, and the Martini Henry, as well as, of course, the first full implementation of Ammo 2.0 with all its strengths and weaknesses, how it works because it is a little bit more of a complex system, and how I think DICE can improve on the current iteration of Ammo 2.0. Last but not least, amongst some other smaller changes that we will mention on the side, we've also got a new way medics can interact with people they wish to revive, which should improve medic team play and frustrations on the battlefield. With all that being said, however, let's get straight into it because this video is going to be long enough given the amount of content we have here. We have the new weapon variants. That's where I'm going to start in today's video. For the Hellriegel, it's going to be the Hellriegel Defensive. It's going to come with a bipod, an increased recoil, which means it's going to be a little bit more difficult to control, as well as a larger magazine at 120 rounds, as well as 120 rounds that you can then reload for, which means the Hellriegel will come with 240 rounds that you can burn through, as well as, of course, a massive magazine, which means you can just slay about the entire enemy team without probably having to reload. Now, this weapon will, like the DLC weapons, have unlock requirements. Sadly, however, we're not going to be able to test the weapon fully for now in the CTE because of the unlock requirements, because, of course, to unlock the Hellriegel 1915 defensive variant, you're not only going to have to own the Hellriegel, which means be a level 10 assault player, you're also going to have to perform 300 kills with the Hellriegel 1915, the default version, as well as 25 kills with AT mines. Now, if you think these requirements are a little bit too high, feel free to head over to the Battlefield 1 live Reddit and let DICE know they're looking for feedback on these issues. Now, this weapon should definitely be interesting, especially given its bipod properties. We'll have to see whether or not it's actually capable of competing with the Automatico and the normal Hellriegel for one of the most used SMGs out there. The second new level 10 weapon variant we're going to be getting is going to be the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper. This is essentially a bipoded scoped version of the default 1906. Whoever likes the 1906 is going to have joy in this. It's of course going to make the weapon a little bit easier to use for longer range distances because of course a scope is easier to be precise with than necessarily iron sights. The unlock requirement for this weapon is going to be 300 kills with the default Selbstlader 1906, of course, meaning once more you have to be level 10 medic, as well as 25 kills with the rifle grenades. Shouldn't be too difficult to accomplish the rifle grenade kills. I'm not quite so sure about the 300 kills with the Selbstlader 1906 though. Moving on then to the new support level 10 variant, we're going to be getting the Huet Automatic Optical, which is essentially a Huet Automatic with a vertical grip and a lens sight for improved accuracy at longer ranges and easier aiming. Now, to unlock this weapon, you're once more going to have to be support level 10, get 300 kills with the Huet Automatic. I think you should start to recognize a pattern here, and then 25 kills with the Limpet Charge. Now, the Limpet Charge kills are going to be hilarious, and I already look forward to completing that aspect of the challenge. I also think this is going to make the Huet a lot more usable because, of course, many people are struggling to use this low fire rate weapon with iron sights. It's somewhat of a contradiction, trying to be accurate with iron sights, at least for some players out there, and of course to compensate for that lower fire rate. This should make the weapon more usable. I at least am very much looking forward to this variant of the Huet Automatic. Last but not least, then we have the Scout level 10. Once more, no surprises here. It's going to be a new variant for the Scout level 10's weapon, which is of course the Martini Henry, which means we're getting the Martini Henry Sniper. This is essentially a telescopic scoped bipoded version of the Martini Henry, much like what's happening to the 1906. Whether or not this is going to be useful because of course the engagement distances of the Martini Henry, I actually think so, because once you start trying to engage targets outside of that distance, which from time to time you can and want to do when you go for headshots, of course a proper sniper variant will be more useful. It comes with a bipod, and once more the unlock requirements here are pretty obvious. 300 kills with the Martini Henry, which means of course you have to be level 10 scout to unlock this weapon, and 25 kills with the bayonet charge. Shouldn't be too difficult to just stab a couple of folks on a good game of Conquest. Having covered then the new weapon variants, let's move on to Ammo 2.0. Starting real simple and slow, changes to the amount of time it takes you to automatically passively resupply a grenade. With the case of the frag, the impact, and the incendiary grenade, this has gone up to 49 seconds, dramatically decreasing the amount of grenade spam I've experienced in the CTE lately. The light anti-tank grenade has gone up to 42 seconds. Gas grenades currently sit at 35 seconds. The mini grenades are relatively fast at 28 seconds, and the smoke grenade at 18 seconds. The multiplier, that is to say how much faster you resupply when close to an ammunition crate, has increased to 3.5, unless of course we're talking about smoke grenades. This is still at 3. Moving on then from the grenades to the rest of the gadgets, which are now included in the Ammo 2.0. This is where things get a little bit more complicated, and I'll try my best to actually explain it in a semi-understandable way. There's currently different amounts of ammunition you can have in different states. Say you spawn at the beginning of the round. This is going to be your base ammunition. We're going to call it, for the sake of today's video, base amount of ammunition. You can use this. It's usually going to be, for example, in the case of the AT rocket gun, 3 shells, or in the case of the AT grenade, 2 grenades. Now, say you use all of your AT rocket gun shells. You have 0. You will then passively regenerate without the help of a support crate or support player to your minimum amount. This is, by the way, also the amount you will respawn with, other than at the beginning of a round, if you had previously no more shots for that gadget. In the case of the AT rocket gun, this is 1. So if I'm a player, shoot all my AT rocket guns at a tank, after about 20, 30, 40 seconds, I will automatically get back 1 AT rocket gun. I will never, however, go all the way up to 2 or 3 that I previously had. If I die with 0 ammunition for the AT rocket gun, I will spawn back in with 1, guaranteed, independent of my previous ammunition state. With that then clear, after you've regenerated, the time it's taken to give you the passively regenerated amount, your minimum amount, in the case of the AT rocket gun, 1 shell, the timer actually continues to tick onwards. However, you don't actually receive the ammunition until you hit up a support player or an ammunition crate. You then, assume of course that the timer has already run its course, immediately get that ammunition. In the case of the AT rocket gun, that means you go immediately up to 3 available shots. If that timer has not yet finished its course, it'll simply take a shorter amount of time because the ammo crate will of course speed this process up rapidly. Now, once you have that, this is the amount, by the way, you can keep also in death, which means, of course, if you die with 3 AT rocket gun shells, you will actually keep those and respawn with those. You only lose on respawn the amount of ammunition that you have in bonus, and that's where we get to the last part of this. If you continue to be resupplied by a support player past the normal amount, the amount you also received, by the way, at the beginning of the round when initially spawning, you can actually acquire further ammunition through this method. This ammunition, however, does not transfer over in death, which means, of course, if you're running around with your 2 bonus AT rocket gun shells and you die without having used them, you will not have them upon respawning. And if you want those bonuses back, you're going to have to once more hit up a support player. However, assuming that situation that you die with your AT rocket gun ammunition all the way up to the bonus maximum amount, you will not respawn with the minimum amount, because that is the amount you only get basically automatically if you have nothing. You will respawn with the normal amount. In this case, 3 AT rocket gun shells, the amount that you could passively regenerate but only acquire with the help of a support player. Whereas, of course, the bonus amount isn't actually stacked up over time and is acquired immediately when you hit up a support, but requires the full cooldown to actually happen when you're on an ammunition crate, or in the future, of course, an ammunition pouch. With that in mind, then I'm going to illustrate this with the 4 most popular gadgets or most important gadgets for various classes in Battlefield 1. Now, for the case of the rocket gun, your minimum, this is the amount you will always have and that you will passively, without the help of an ammunition or support player, regenerate is 1. Your so-called quick regen or normal amount, the amount that you obtain and passively regenerate to the point where you don't actually get it until you hit up a support player, and this is, by the way, also identical to the amount you get at the beginning of the round, is 3 for the rocket gun. And the bonus amount you can acquire is 2, which means if you properly play the game with the help of a constantly active support, you can run around the battlefield with up to 5 ammunition for the rocket gun. In the case of the spotting flare, your minimum amount, the amount you will always spawn with, and the amount you will automatically regenerate is 1. And the bonus that you can get is also 1, which means, of course, you're never going to have 1 or more spotting flare unless a support player comes and helps you out. In the case of the K-Bullet, the minimum, the amount you always spawn with independently of how much you had previously, is 2. Your quick regen is up to 4, so 2 additional, which means as soon as you hit up a support player and you've had enough time to let the cooldown build up, you'll get additional 2 K-Bullets, bringing you up to 4. You can actually then, with the help of a support player, get an additional 3 bullets in bonus to actually get all the way up to 7 K-Bullets, which means actually a group of snipers supported by an actual support player is going to be a new, really lethal weapon and taking out especially the lighter armored vehicles and lighter armored tanks, such as the light tank or, of course, the artillery truck. Last but not least, then, the AT grenade. Minimum amount here, the amount you will always spawn with, 1. The amount you can total carry with help of a quick regen, which of course just requires a little bit of input from the support player, is 2. And of course, you can also get 1 in bonus, which means you can have a maximum of 3. Now, I would like to clarify here, the amount you can keep in death, or the amount up to you can keep in death, is always the amount that you can receive with the little bit of input from the support player, which means in the case of the rocket gun, 3, in the case of the spotting flare, 1, in the case of the K bullets, 4, and in the case of the AT grenade, 2. However, if you die with less than that amount, or nothing, you only of course will end up with the minimum amount, or the amount that you had. So be aware, spamming your gadget at useless targets is not necessarily the best way when you actually need them next time round. Now, with that explanation out the way, feel free to ask me any questions down below in the comments if I didn't explain it good enough for you to understand. Medic gadgets also, by the way, now receive buffs from ammo crates, so you'll be able to revive past people more often. The cooldown of your syringe or your medic pouches is going to be less around ammo crates. Suppression also affects the supply times, or the resupply times, both the passive ones without support input and the active ones. AT mines, by the way, always spawn with 3 but only regenerate to 1. This is in essence an anomaly, because usually the amount you regenerate to and the amount you spawn, minimum amount you spawn with, that is to say if you had nothing previously, are the same. And the mortar basically now has a cooldown before you can actually whip it out of a quite lengthy amount. Now, with ammo 2.0 out of the way, let's move on to a couple of smaller changes. We've gotten new ribbons, 19 in total. DICE hasn't told us exactly which ribbons they are, sadly. However, they include things like healing ribbons or resupply ribbons, so this should be a nice source of future points once this patch actually gets into the vanilla game. Another very interesting mechanic that DICE has added is that medics can now spot dead teammates, indicating to them that they are going to come and revive them. So if I'm a medic, I see my dead friend on the ground, I spot his body, he will get the notification that I'm coming to revive him. Of course, creating a great team mechanic, which will hopefully prevent huge amounts of players always constantly immediately redeploying, even if a medic is close and on their way. It also allows a medic to communicate to an individual that he's coming to revive them, but to give them a little bit of time in essence, because maybe they have to kill the enemy on their body first. Last but not least, we've gotten some small tweaks to weapons and maps, increases to capture sizes, etc. on mostly DLC maps, and some small bug fixes to weapons. They're not important, they're small improvements, but they are nevertheless improvements. Now, the truly 2 big things, of course, in the CTE update video are the 4 new variants for the level 10 unlocks for each class. Very excited about that personally, can't wait to get my hands on them, as well as of course ammo 2.0. While I can't comment yet on the actual new weapon variants because nobody really has got them unlocked, I'm happy to see new weapon variants coming, especially happy, of course, I've already said about the Huet optical, because that will make that weapon a lot more usable for me personally. Regarding ammo 2.0, however, I can already start giving some input. Generally, I think this is a great idea. The implementation is actually pretty solid. They've already taken some suggestions by the community and implemented them. Your actual auto resupply without support help is limited to very few numbers, and once you get a little bit of support help, you're close to what you previously were able to have as maximum. The bonus mechanic, I think, is really interesting, because it means that a truly good functioning squad can actually get much more usage out of their gadgets, especially important, of course, for the assault class, and also in the case of K bullets for the scout class. I think this is going to be a great way of increasing teamwork and making the support class more important. Regarding specific criticism, however, I think they've gone a little bit far when it comes to the assault class. Spawning in with only 1 AT rocket gun munition and only 1 AT grenade is going to seriously hinder the amount of damage assault can do to tanks. And while this would be okay if other classes in Battlefield 1 could have a serious impact on tanks, that's not really in practice, sadly, the case. Rifle grenades don't do a huge amount of damage. AT grenades, well, most medics sadly don't run them. The support class has a limpet charge, but can usually not even get close enough to the tank because most Battlefield 1 maps are so open to use it. And of course, the crossbow launcher isn't highly effective either. The mortar, the anti-vehicle mortar, is not only not effective, it's very annoying, and I don't think we should be encouraging people to use mortars. Just my personal opinion. The K-bullets are an effective way, but once more, not enough people actually use them. So if the usage of these other gadgets go up, this may be okay. However, I think at least for the case of the AT rocket gun, we should be spawning at least with 2 or 3 shells for this gadget if we're going to reduce the amount of minimum AT grenades down to 1. Now, in practice, it's also going to be difficult to actually say how balanced and how much power this is going to give or take from vehicles because, of course, now we don't see it in the bigger context. How many active support players are we actually going to get on the battlefield? Is everybody going to be throwing everybody ammunition all the time? Then this really is not going to be a problem. If that, however, is not the case and we're going to be searching for ammo packs as we do currently in Battlefield 1. Can somebody please finally resupply me my pistol ammunition? All I've got left is a freaking knife. Well, then things may look a little bit more troubling when it comes to the vehicle infantry balance. With that being said, however, I'd love to hear your thoughts both on Ammo 2.0, the upcoming new weapon variant, as well as the new and nifty way medics can communicate with their teammates that they're going to revive them, down below in the comments, as well as of course your usual video suggestions for Battlefield 1 videos. But with all that being said, this lengthy video now coming to an end, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next Battlefield 1 video.